Y'all remember Caroline Wenger, CEO of Essence Magazine, or should I say former CEO of Essence Magazine? We learned about her and Mr. Richie Lou Dennis and about Essence Ventures and how they're wanting to use the $1.3 trillion spending power of Black Americans to build a bridge over to Nigeria to build up Nigeria. And all of this came to a head when they tried to have a Pan-African like Essence Festival the other year. Y'all remember that, right? Yeah, y'all remember that. Well, things ain't looking too good for Mr. Richie Lou Dennis because Caroline Wenger is suing Mr. Richie Lou Dennis and Essence Ventures. I got this tea from Black Girls Who Brunch over on Threads. She's also here on TikTok. I'll tag her. But she posted this tea over on Threads. Caroline Wenger said that year of the Essence Festival when all hell broke loose because of the jollof rice versus the jambalaya contest. Yeah, she said she wasn't the CEO at that time. And she was getting a lot of the backlash, and she was asking Essence Ventures and Mr. Richie Lou Dennis to put a statement out there because she was getting blamed for putting that Essence Festival together when she was not behind that. Let's read this article, shall we? Caroline Wenger, the CEO of Essence Ventures from June 2020 until she resigned in March of 2025, filed a defamation claim today against Essence Ventures, which manages Essence Communications, Afropunk, BeautyCon, and Essence Studios, and its parent company, Sundial Media and Technology Group, in New York State Court. The defamation stemmed from Essence Ventures and Sundial leadership failing to publicly announce that Ms. Wenger had no role whatsoever in the planning or execution of the disastrous annual Essence Festival of Culture, which commenced on July 4th, 2025 in New Orleans. Ms. Wenger is represented by lead counsel Larry Schaefer at Schaefer Helene LLC, a Minneapolis-based firm recognized nationally for its expertise in the field. We're getting into the complaint. According to Mr. Schaefer, Essence Ventures and Sundial leadership did nothing to correct the devastating public narrative that Ms. Wenger was directly involved in this festival, despite her and her supporters' repeated requests to publicly announce that Ms. Wenger had no role whatsoever in the planning or execution of this festival. The public critique of this festival was largely directed at Ms. Wenger. She was attacked as directly responsible for the Pan-African focus of this festival and the choice of Ms. Wenger's former employee, Target Corporation, as a corporate sponsor of the festival. These decisions were publicly lambasted as shifting Essence Ventures away from its long-standing focus on African American culture and selecting a corporate sponsor which had publicly viewed as retreated from DEI initiatives. At the time of the 2025 festival, Ms. Wenger had been on leave from her position as Essence Ventures CEO since September 2024 and had made the decision to leave this position effective March 31st, 2025. Essence Ventures and Sundial leadership asked Ms. Wenger to delay any public announcement of her departure until after the festival, as she and her legal counsel agreed. It therefore appeared to the public that she was the CEO when the festival took place on July 4, 2025. Ms. Wenger and EV, which is Essence Ventures and Sundial leadership, all knew, however, that this was not the case and that she had no role whatsoever in either the planning or execution of the festival. When the public outcry and the blaming of Ms. Wenger commenced and reached a national crescendo in the weeks following the festival, which included numerous personal threats against Ms. Wenger and her family, she and her counsel repeatedly asked Essence Ventures and Sundial leadership to promptly correct this devastating public narrative. Ms. Wenger and her counsel even drafted a public statement stating Ms. Wenger had departed from the CEO role many months before the festival and had no role in the festival whatsoever. Ms. Wenger and her counsel specifically asked, among others, Richie Lou Dennis, the founder and executive chairman of Sundial Media and Technology Group, and Kirk McDonald, CEO of Sundial Media and Technology Group, to issue this public statement in order to correct the record and stop the blaming and backlash against Ms. Wenger. The leadership refused to issue this statement and instead delayed any announcement while the public outcry against Ms. Wenger built. EV, Essence Ventures, finally issued a general announcement of Ms. Wenger's departure as CEO on August 25th, 2025, almost 2 months after the disastrous festival and the ensuing blaming of Ms. Wenger. This statement did not specifically correct the widely held view that Ms. Wenger had made or influenced the decisions which negatively impacted the festival and the Essence brand. The statement thus appeared to condone this false narrative. As a direct result of this delay and refusal to correct the public record, Ms. Wenger's reputation has been destroyed and her company, Wenger Woman, has suffered grave economic harm. Wenger Woman is a consulting venture which advises and assists companies and individuals on personal and professional development, and its successes depends exclusively on the reputation of its founder and namesake, Carolyn Wenger. Orders have been canceled and prospective business leads have all evaporated due specifically to the damage to Ms. Wenger's reputation described above. Quote, the lawsuit is being brought to hold Essence Ventures and Sundial leadership, including Richie Lou Dennis and Kirk McDonald, to account for allowing a false public narrative to destroy Ms. Wenger's reputation. Essence Ventures and Sundial are supposed to be about elevating Black businesses and leadership, but this sad story demonstrates that when a scapegoat was useful, Black empowerment went out the window. End quote. Mr. Schaefer is the attorney. Mr. Schaefer further emphasized that he and his client are confident and any reasonable judge or jury will see the clear obligation Essence Ventures and Sundial owed to clear Ms. Wenger's name. When they refuse to do this, the damage to her reputation is their responsibility to remediate. Now, I remember specifically a lot of commenters were saying that Carolyn Wenger was on some panel where she kept saying that the originals were here or the originals were taking over. Y'all correct me down below. I never saw the video. I never saw what people were saying, but so many people were saying it. It had to have been out there somewhere. I also remember seeing her being quoted as trying to bridge Nigeria to the Americas by way of Black Americans. I saw her quoted as saying as such more than once. But if she was wrongly depicted as being the CEO of Essence Magazine during that disastrous time, that story was all over social media, regardless of the platform, viral on all different social media platforms. Everybody was talking about Caroline Wanga and Richie Lou Dennis, and the Black American community was livid in how that year Essence Festival was trying to water down the celebration of Black Americans and our history in this country. If she was wrongly depicted and had as being the CEO and had nothing to do with it, I hope she wins her lawsuit. Because I remember when Richie Lou Dennis went on the Breakfast Club after the disastrous festival. That would have been an opportune time for him to correct the record. And I don't remember him correcting the record in that moment. I don't remember it. I do remember hearing that she had left the company, that she had resigned after the fact. And it wasn't presented as she had resigned, but she had resigned a whole year earlier, months earlier. It was as if she resigned as a result of the fallout of this Essence Festival. Y'all let me know your thoughts about all of this down below. I think the jury is still standing on business. The jury being Black Americans in this country. They ain't feeling Essence. They ain't feeling Essence. And yeah, I think you've lost the Black American community when it comes to the Essence Festival. Now, I did see advertisement of this year's Essence Festival and who the musical lineup is supposed to be. I haven't seen any discussion about it beyond that. I haven't seen discussions from my people saying that they getting ready, they getting their tickets to go to the Essence Festival. I have not seen any of my people making plans to go to the Essence Festival. So I'll ask, are you planning to go to the Essence Festival this year? Let me know. Put it down in the comments.
Gabby, as we've heard in the previous panel and throughout these past 2 days, is about changing narratives, changing perspectives, and creating community. So how does storytelling, you think, contribute to building community?
Well, since we're talking about Africa, let's have the real conversation, right? Which is we're the originators of storytelling,
Yes.
right? Our culture, our continents, our traditions have not always been codified in the Western acceptance of documentation, right? We are a collective culture that has always been able to pass on the pride and the success of our culture through the way that we tell stories, and not just verbally, but through what we wear, through how we show up, through what we do with music, through what we do with food. All of that is storytelling. And so I think that the more important part of your question is, what is the way in which two things happen? The first of those is the continent is seen at a place where people come to learn how to be better humans back where they came from. Because the origination of what happens on that continent is what the rest of the world needs to be successful. That sits there, right? Storytelling is one of those things. But the other piece is to accept that the stories now are sitting in many different parts of the world because of what happened with the diaspora. And how do we empower everybody who is where they are to bring that forward? And then I happen to have the privilege of sitting as a steward of this Black media brand called Essence, one of the largest ones in the globe. And I not only run Essence, but I also run Afropunk, I run BeautyCon, and we have a studio. And so I feel very compelled to ensure that there's reciprocity in the way that the diaspora is represented in all four of those platforms, so that the story of us functioning from a place of strength gets into the hands of everybody, not the hands of everybody Black, the hands of everybody.
Very good point. Now, you talked about the diaspora there.
I did.
And I wanted to touch on a bit about that. Essence has deep roots, of course, here in the U.S., but it's also making strides on the continent, right?
Yeah.
So what exactly are you doing, and what are your hopes to reach out, to connect with the diaspora?
Yeah, so I think the Essence story by itself is a diaspora story, and then I'll give you more detail, right? So Essence is 50 years old, turned 50 years old in 2020. The story of Essence being founded in the US was about uplifting black women, founded by 4 black men. However, as that magazine grew, it actually was doing things to engage on the continent, to visit different countries, so that through the lens of beauty and fashion and other ways, it wasn't just the point of view of what those who had landed in the US had, it was also what is going on the continent. That's always been a part of Essence.